state. My state is perfect. It's beautiful and green. Uh-oh. You know what? Here comes a Flatlander. That's a person not from Vermont. Are you supposed to say something? Darn. You know, everyone in the United States thinks that everybody in Vermont knows one another. And they're simple-minded. Never mind. Okay, here comes a Flatlander.
Is this the road you take to Canada?
That there road? Yeah, but we prefer you leave it here. Jeez and crow. The questions these Flatlanders ask. I wish the Flatlanders would go home and leave us alone. The only trouble is they leave a lot of money here. My favorite time of year in Vermont is winter. Good thing, because we have 5 seasons here. Winter, mud season, spring, summer, and early winter or fall. Yeah, we do have a summer here. Last year came on Thursday. Geez, here comes another Flatlander. I guess I should not sit on the porch in the spring.
It says here that there ought to be more cows in Vermont. Why is that?
There are more cows in Vermont than what?
People.
We prefer it that way. So many cows, it's part of the landscape. That's okay. I wouldn't want to live in a state where they didn't have that subtle old manure smell. That means we have great fresh milk. Doesn't come from California, like those ads say. We have wonderful cheeses, oh my Lord. And we have grass-fed beef that's very fresh. And we have a whole lot more. Cows are just part of the landscape in Vermont. They're everywhere. I love watching them. I love working with them. I have a friend who lives next door to a pasture. She's had an interesting time with them, cows in the pasture. And they're there all year, except in deep snow. Now, it was one of those summer days, probably on Thursday. It was 90 degrees, and we get that now and then. We're not sissies like the Southerners, and we don't have air conditioning. So we see other ways to keep cool. And my friend built an above-ground pool. Now one day, she heard a whole lot of loud moving. She went out the back door to see what was going on. And you know what? Them cows from the pasture were drinking out of her pool. out there, one cow was in the middle of the pool. Ain't that a hoot? Uh-oh, here we go again.
I've seen a lot of old barns around here, and they all look, well, they all but are wrecked. They all look like they're falling down just about. Why don't they all tear them down? Just,
Really?
flatten them.
Duh. We like to watch them fall apart. You know, we make bets on the date they're gonna fall flat in. We even guess on which piece is gonna go first. Seriously, Richard and I served several churches in Vermont, and we loved it, didn't we? They were awesome. But it is a unique place, like no other we have ever lived in, right? That's right. So here are a couple of funny stories from our churches up there.
And that was true about that swimming pool, by the way. Seriously, I believe the truth.
One summer I was appointed to a 2-point charge. I started out in a 4-point charge in the middle of Vermont in the Green Mountains. And I noticed after a while that this church never greeted one another like you do here during the church service. So one Sunday I got up and I said, how about we greet one another? An old man stood up in the last queue and said, you know, preacher, once you let them out of the barn, they ain't ever coming back. Everybody laughed and then they greeted each other. Another story was from a graveside service, which turned into hysterical laughter. It was an extraordinarily windy day. I was serving on an island in the middle of Lake Champlain, which is the 8th largest lake in this country. And we had wind, boy did we. As we got to the graveyard, everything seemed to be okay, but the poor attendant from the funeral home was having an awful time setting up the flowers alongside the casket. And he even put the topper, the casket topper, on top. By the side of us was a farm with a lot of cows. And they'd come to the fence, as cows often do, to watch the procedure. I opened my mouth to deliver the first prayer, and just as I opened my mouth, they all started mooing. Every last one of them. Now, the family was snickering softly, trying to contain themselves. I proceeded on, and after the third prayer, the bouquet that was on top of the casket went airborne. I continued to pray, but suddenly there were gales of laughter surrounding me. I looked up to see one of the cows wearing the casket topper like a hat. We never did regain our composure. I just said, wouldn't Ben have liked this spectacle? No one loved a good laugh like Ben. We had lots of unique experiences, but one day Richard and I pulled up to our church, one of the churches, and I was busy refreshing my lipstick as we drove in. He poked me hard and said, honey, I think you better look at this. This is unusual. I looked up and I saw a large Angus bull standing on the front steps of the church. I looked at the door of the church, and it was summer, so it was open and hot, because it was hot. And all of my parishioners were standing in the front door, looking like they didn't know what to do next.
The door was about 6 steps up
From the
ground
bulb.
level.
Yeah. Richard parked the car, and I walked over and said, well, you know, folks, we are a welcoming church. Just as Richard was dialing the farmer and thinking he'd go tackle the bull since he worked on some farms, a big cattle truck drove up in the side yard. And the farmer grabbed the bull and put him in the trailer. Crisis averted. I said to them as I got in the pulpit that I knew that sometimes there's a lot of bull in the church, but I didn't expect it to be outside the church. We were glad to be there, and we're glad to be here. But I kind of miss the eccentricities of Vermont.
And Richard, the Flatlander. If you want, you can have a seat while they judge you. Blake, you're probably most good enough to start this one. You're closer to those essence-specific people.
Well, I'm going to give the entrance a 10. And, you know, they say sacred cows make the best hamburgers, so I'm going to give that a 9.
And you were talking about states. I've been through a fair share number of states.
Amen.
I've been through the state of nausea, upset stomach, nosebleeds, hallucinations, itching, and currently monkey-like facial and body hair. But all those states are due to this natural beautiful hair product and face product that I would like you to make sure that you go and purchase for your unique cream. Getting back to your discussion, that's, you know, think about states, but your state and your church sound beautiful, and this is a beautiful church, and I like how you referenced it, so I will give you a beautiful 9.
That was longer than your leg hair. The entrance was awesome, and the end was just very touching. I'm from Louisiana. We don't have a lot of cows in Louisiana, but it was very moving what you had to say. I give it a 10.